Mercury is retrograde, even if the live audience doesn't get to chime in because of Mercury retrograde, we will still do this. Um, so, as a lot of you know, if you are able to see us live, this podcast had to do with Mercury retrograde and doing some live readings so that we could see how Mercury retrograde and the other retrograde planets that are going on right now are currently affecting us. And so, our other co hosts for the day, James and also Maddie Frequency both had issues with their internet and sound. And then a few guests have also chimed in and stated they had issues. And then here I am and my co host Lark, and we both had either mic or connection issues. But at the very least, we are both here and we're still going to record, and hopefully soon we can see some people chiming in on the live chat. So we're going to look at your charts, and we're going to see how this Mercury retrograde is affecting you directly. And for starters, let's talk a little bit about the cosmos right now. So, just so everybody knows, you have control over your screen. If you're watching it live, you should be able to, on your mobile app, that is, if you joined via the Evolve Studio audience, which I did link in our Facebook. If you go to Divine 24 Facebook group or facebook.com/ what's your sign WHTSURSGN, you'll see the link in my post. And it will give you the link to our live audience, and you can make your screen bigger if you cannot see the astrology chart on the screen. Um, let's see, August 7th, 2024. Um, Currently, we have Mercury retrograde, as well as Saturn, Neptune, and Pluto, all retrograde right now. There have been seasons where we've had 5 to 6 planets retrograde, but we're blessed actually to only have four retrograde right now. Lark, can you see the screen by chance?
I cannot. I was just asking my kiddo to see if she
Let
could see
me
it
see if there's a way for me to make it bigger.
because I can
Uh,
see like movement, and one of them's just magenta. But
mhm. I do not believe I can make it any bigger than it already is. I think that is it. Um, but for talking points, retrograde. What is retrograde? So, I know you're a newbie in studying astrology, Lark. So, what is your impression of what retrograde is?
when it moves further out of away from the system, like it's moving away from the sun.
Um, yeah, it's an illusion. The planet is not actually going retrograde. In the sky, it appears to be going backwards, which is super interesting. Um, when a
There you go.
planet when a planet goes retrograde, it it's like a redo. Quite a few things happen, and the energies of that planet go a little haywire. But the from the Earth perspective, we can use the energies to redo something that has just transpired. So with Mercury retrograde, it seems really annoying, all the inconveniences, with either technology or communication or the mail or, just so many haphazards. Like the most bizarre thing happened Mercury retrograde for us today, and you wouldn't think that it was Mercury retrograde, but it absolutely had to do with the retrograde and the storm that hit us in Arizona last night. Was labeled as a potential tornado, and I can't say that a tornado hit us, but what I can say is that when I woke up this morning, our garbage can was missing, and I live on a corner house. and I couldn't find our garbage can anywhere. So I dropped my daughter off at school, and I came back to the house and I started looking at all the garbage cans on my street. And when I was doing it, my neighbor came out and she was doing the same. She's like, "This isn't my garbage can," and there was a can right in front of her house. So I went on to my camera, my Ring, and my driveway camera, and about 2 a.m. there's a major just like disaster on the screen. You can't see much. It was kind of eerie actually. And then I moved the camera a little bit forward in time, and bam, the garbage can was gone. It was really crazy. And so I believe what probably happened was that the wind blew it to the side of my house along with my neighbors or whatever. And somebody maybe got up in the middle of the night or drove by or went for a walk and stood them up. I don't know because there wasn't garbage all over the place. And long story short, there's a dog walk back behind my house, and my garbage can was all the way over there.
That's crazy.
I know my neighbors was all the way down the street, also like in the same areas, but at least on the street. It was really freaking bizarre. So, anyways, that was a definitely a retrograde type situation. Um, but I wanted to maybe ask your permission before I did it, but I was going to pull your chart and see where Mercury retrograde is in your chart so that I could help people understand that not only is Mercury retrograde for the collective, and lots of bizarre things happen. You know, travel plans get screwed up or miscommunication between people. But wherever it happens to land in your chart, that's the area where you get to embrace the retrograde and use it to your advantage and try to take the negative circumstances and try to make them positive. So, are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me pull up your chart here. Lark. Beautiful name, by the way. So Lark was born on February 2nd, 1986 at 2:30 p.m. In Washington, D.C. And so all those things are very important if you happen to want a reading, if you happen to want anything that has to do with timing or accuracy, especially with the way the cosmos are affecting your chart, you're going to want all of that information.
So I was gonna say one thing. The time I found my mom's journal, and the time she's been telling me was not the time she wrote down in her journal from when I was born. Um, it was at 9:10 p.m.
PM.
Yeah,
All right, let's edit that then. That changes things.
I do. It didn't look
Mm-hmm.
like it. I mean, when I added it, it didn't look like it changed it too significantly, but I'm sure it affects things
Oh,
elsewhere.
it makes a big difference. 9:10 p.m.
Yeah.
And you didn't tell me this?
I did tell it, but it's kind of like in passing, and it wasn't something that you had like your computer access right there. So I figured out it would come up at some point organically anyway.
Yeah, you know how serious my database is.
I know how my attention span works, so I don't assume anything with anybody else.
Yeah, no problem. So, all right. So here we go. So February 2nd, 1986, 9:10 p.m. Washington D.C.
Yeah.
And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take today and I'm going to put you in the middle of it. So what we just did was here's Lark's chart. Um, and on the outside, oh, so your rising sign completely changes. I'm just a little mind blown right now. Your mom seriously said you're born at 9:10 p.m.
That's what the journal says. So she's been telling me one thing, and then when I got her journal from when she had me, it was something else. So she might have just confused me with another sibling. I mean, there's a few of us.
The other one seemed more. What does your birth certificate say?
Oh, that's a good question. I can pull it up and see.
Yeah, your birth certificate would be most accurate.
I'm gonna have to put the phone down for a second.
All right. So what time did I have it before?
You had it at 2:10,
Okay.
and my birth certificate does not have the time on it.
I feel like you're not a Virgo rising. What? Why do I hear us? That's the delay on YouTube. Okay. All right. So it's about a 5 second delay. Good to know. All right, so let's change it back. So let's talk about this. We've totally changed the podcast now. This shows you how this is what this is called. This is called rectification. When you don't know your exact birth time, you have to take a lot of things into account to figure out, as closely as you can. I did get a new software program. It's kind of a long story, but I joined with some fellow astrologers that I've known back from the AOL chat room days that have made quite the astrology life for themselves, and they created an AI software platform. And yeah, so I got on the early bird, so I'll be able to do like so insanely much more, like just
Cool.
crazy, insane more, including rectification. So right now, if we take your mom's journal notes and it's 9:10, it puts you at a Virgo rising. You're still the Scorpio moon that I know you to be. Um, and the nothing else would really change very much. Um, your moon could potentially change in on February 2nd, somewhere in the day, due to the fact that it's at 25 degrees. So, the time is important, but we're going to put it back. So at 9:10, it's at 25 degrees Scorpio and 28 degrees Virgo rising. And I believe before you were a Cancer rising. And to me, that seems a little more accurate. So let's get back in there and change it. There we go. And what was it before?
You had 2:10.
2:10 or 2, I thought it was 2:30 something.
I thought it was 2:10 p.m.
I don't think so. I do have it on another database. On my, I have human design database with your birth time. Find it though. Let's go here. Okay. So yeah, it still shows Cancer rising. Moon in your fifth house would make sense with your kiddos, but this chart looks much more harsh. Look at that. Look at all these squares, Lark. This is not the time we had before. We had you have your chart right there. Could you pull it up, the one I've given you in the past?
Uh,
See, this is all Mercury retrograde's fault. Just so you know.
I am not surprised.
It's okay. So I believe it was 2:34 p.m. Um, I can't find my human design app where I know for sure I have you and Tyler's charts. 34 because that's what I believe it was. And it really does make that big of a difference.
So on the chart that you sent me last time, it was 7:10.
No. Oh, there's James. Hey there, James.
We got it working. Yes.
Can you can hear me now? James, meet
Yes.
Lark. Lark, this is James.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Hi, Lark.
We have all had this whole podcast is going to be about Mercury retrograde, and every single person has had issues with this live feed. So, um, yeah, this is closer to what I had, Lark. Can you see the screen by chance, James, that I'm sharing?
Yes. Yes, I can.
Okay, cool. And since you're here, I'm going to pull your chart too.
Cool.
Yeah, James Bush. Mr. James Bush is a therapist, um, and I think astrology would be good for you to, embrace a little bit with the work that you do. I know you do your own self healing, as well as your clients. So if I'm accurate here, I have you as September 22nd, 1981, 5:45
Yep.
a.m. Washington D.C., just like Lark. You both
Wow.
are born in the same place. Is
Wow.
that's accurate for you?
Yes.
Yep. Lark is showing me a picture of her chart, and Lark,
Uh,
I'm
what
feeling.
just pulled up on my email from last time.
But is that your solar return? If that's a
It
solar,
says
yeah, that's why. That's your solar return. That's not your natal chart.
it says natal chart.
It looks like your solar return. It could be your natal chart. It says Virgo rising. Just like your mom's 910. We have a mystery with your birth. Um, Let me see here. If I could find my human design, I know for sure I have yours and Tyler's um, information, but I can't find it right now. See if you find any. Um, oh, I guess we would have to look maybe all around, but we can find it after this. We'll find it. We'll get it right. Right
Nope.
now, we'll use we'll use the 210 or the 235. The 210 is what you have. So somewhere in there, you think it's either 210, 710, or 910. That's where we're at with your birth time. Somewhere in there. And James, when you were born, the sun was in Virgo. So you're definitely feeling this Mercury retrograde. Virgo is ruled by Mercury, and you have your moon in Cancer and your rising sign also in Virgo. So you might find yourself a little bit of a workaholic. I might think a little bit
I'm
of
at work right now.
a. So what I'm gonna do, James, is I'm gonna put your I'm gonna put your the cosmos around your chart.
Hmm.
Let's see. All right, James. So James, here on the inside, and the cosmos are on the outside, just kind of like if we were to look up in the sky. And I see here that this is happening in your 12th house of your subconscious, as well as things that are hidden. So when a planet goes retrograde, it's kind of like a redo. It goes in reverse, and you take the qualities of the planet and you get to apply them to your personal chart and see what it is that's going on that you need a redo. And for the next 30 days, well, a little less than that now, but by the end of the month, um, Mercury will go direct again. So currently it's going through your 12th house, and Venus is also there. So you might be reflecting on relationships of the past, and wondering, and more than likely overthinking about these relationships, or like relationship patterns, or maybe a subconscious pattern that you're trying to work through, or that you're noticing people in your life maybe working, maybe playing out for you. And then you have your moon in Virgo, which again is ruled by this Mercury retrograde in your first house. So it's definitely affecting you on a very personable level.
Mhm.
And so I think that, can you confirm that maybe you are feeling a little, actually, feeling's the wrong word. You're catching yourself being very in your head lately.
I can see that.
Yeah. And how do you
Yeah.
feel about the reflecting, like maybe on past subconscious patterns or relationship patterns that maybe haven't been dealt with?
Oh, I mean, you kind of spot on right there with that one. Like I made some errors. I could have done some things better. I could have, maybe I could have worked it out differently or been better in this space, or, um, yeah, yeah, kind of looking at me as maybe I'm the culprit in it as well. So yeah.
Yeah, I heard a astrologer that I really love to follow. Her name is Cosmic Colleen, and she said a great quote today. And she basically said that with this Mercury retrograde in Virgo, that especially Virgos, who have Virgo rising, Virgo moon, Virgo Venus, or Virgo Mercury, even Virgo sun, that you guys need to look at instead of what you're thinking, you need to look at what you're feeling. And that shouldn't be too hard for you, being that you're, what is it? Your moon is in the sign of Cancer, which is a feeling and intuitive planet. But you have a lot of you have your rising and your sun in Virgo, and they're overthinkers. And then you also have lots of Libra planets, which are also like very airy and in their mind. And then you also have Mars and well, Mars and Leo's is more of a more energy. But so on that note, you might catch yourself overthinking a lot during this period over things of the past and reflecting, and you might have a past relationship trying to come to the forefront. And they might come around, and you might catch yourself wanting to fall back into an old pattern, and that's what you're going to need to do. You're going to need to redo. And with that Cancer moon, you'll fall for it, because cancers love to stay attached to things that are familiar, and they don't let go too easily.
Mm.
So on that note, that's something that you can look forward to dealing with in this retrograde. Also, right now, if you look over here to the right of the chart, Neptune and Saturn are also retrograde. Neptune and Saturn are both slow moving planets as well. Neptune's much faster than Saturn, but it's going through your seventh house of partnerships. So, again, you're really looking at relationships right now, and you will for some time, and be reevaluating both yourself and your partner's patterns.
Partners. Oh no, Lori.
No, it doesn't mean any committed partners. Partners are anybody that you're spending time in relation with.
Okay.
So even right now, us three sitting here, we're having a relationship because
Okay.
we're sitting here and we're relating with one another.
Gotcha.
Um, People like to use terms like situationship, but that's more along the lines of, dating, so to speak. But relating is the key word, and when it's your seventh house and you use the term partnership, it's people that are a little more prominent, as opposed to us sitting here talking to you. So on that note, especially with Neptune going through that the seventh house of partnership, Neptune is very elusive. So one of two things will be on your mind for the next 10 years, probably. Is that either you want um, a partner that is elusive, they're like not, you're not quite sure where you stand with them, or maybe they're super religious or super spiritual, or again, they don't commit to you, they're not quite there. It's like one or the other. They're either the dream soulmate, or they are like forcing you to look at, what is that dream soulmate for you.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that's going to be for quite some time. And then they're in retrograde. So they're going in reverse, and they're allowing you to redo. Um, and then down here, Pluto is the other planet that's in retrograde. Pluto is the planet of transformation. So transformation. So right now, what you're doing is also looking at how you express yourself. You're really like reflecting and
Yeah.
are going to learn a lot about the ways in which you express yourself. And it's really vital because it's going to be touching your south node. And your south node is a karmic way of always being. You've always been this way in other lives, and you're very natural. So you're
Yeah.
literally going through a transformative time right now, where you're looking at how you express yourself and if it's healthy, and if you want to remain that way. So you're definitely going through a lot of reflecting, but you really need to get out of your head. This retrograde is showing you to get out of your head and kind of like into your body, so that you could feel what feels right and what doesn't feel right, if that
Hmm.
makes sense.
Hmm. Hmm. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. What do you want to add, or have a takeaway, or what do you think?
Who said Lark?
My takeaway of it.
Even no, James.
Oh,
Okay.
oh no. I mean, I definitely think you're spot on. With a lot of what you're saying. I mean, some things, some things have been actually happening. Some things happened today. Some things have happened in the last week or two, or anything like that, involving relationships of some sort. And spot on, very very spot on with it. And I think it's just, and I think what really hit me was that last week me and my sister was talking about. She said, James, you know, you're a great speaker. You speak to many people. She said, but as far as expressing yourself, you suck at that. You know,
Mm,
and and that's something that I've been really keen in on since last week. Is me. I mean, even my clients tonight. You know, I'm just working with a lot of. I work with a lot of guys, and some of us have challenges at expressing ourselves. And so, something that's a message that I've taken to task, and it's been my kind of follow through and marching orders from here on out. Just expression. You know, being able to do that.
well, let's pick that apart for a minute, because your sun sign is Virgo, and
Mm-hmm.
Virgos are not a feeling planet, they're a thinking planet, and they're an analytical planet, and they analyze and think and compartmentalize and label, and sometimes labels tend to have negative undertones, and so your sister was pointing out the way you express yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and here we are noticing that Pluto wants you to revisit that, right? And if you look at the opposite of your south node, which is what I was explaining to you, that Pluto's touching your south node and making you go, forcing you to redo this reflecting, to shift and change the way in which you express yourself. On the very opposite end is your north node, which is where you should be directing your energy. And it's in the sign of Cancer, which matches your moon sign, which you're very familiar with on a personable level. It's Cancer moons are very personable, and so that is the direction you should be going. You should be listening to your gut, turning off your head, and tuning into your heart. And so, that quote that I was telling you about, I want to be very specific because it definitely applies to you in the sense that you need to get into the feelings. So I'm going to pull it up right here.
Mhm.
So, Mercury retrograde message of the day, especially Virgos and Virgo moons. Don't overthink things you are meant to feel. So, you're overthinking things and you're actually meant to be feeling those things. And what that means is that when you catch yourself where you need, and the only way you're going to do it is if you're more mindful, and if you're a reflector you'll be mindful, but you need to catch yourself um, when you are ready to, when your mind is analyzing and then tossing and turning and overthinking, and you catch that you're doing that, then you need to switch gears to, but how does it make me feel? And you need to make the conscious thought, how does this make me feel though? Like, it's one thing you might actually jump over it. Well, the overthinking is driving me nuts. I don't like the way that makes me feel.
Mhm.
But right there, you've tapped into feelings, which is what you need to do, right? You've realized, okay, I don't like this overthinking. It's stressing me out. But how does the situation make me feel? Or how does what this person said make me feel? Or how does this, the way this person act make me
Mhm.
feel? Not make me think. So you just need to
Mhm.
reword the moment when you catch the pattern
Mhm.
and feel it instead. And when you can feel it, then you're able to express it. But if you're only thinking it, well then it's a statistic. It's just something, but um it's not really as close to truth.
Mhm.
Truth is a person's truth is the way something makes them feel.
Mhm.
If you're thinking about it, it's more of it's a conditioning or a programming or something of that nature, or something you picked up outside of yourself. It's not yours. But if you could feel it, or if you could relate to how the person made you feel or the situation made you feel, that's real. And that is where all your intuition, that's where all your knowledge, your true knowledge comes from.
Mhm.
So, Lark, I know that we don't know for sure which time is yours, but if we look at your chart and we talk a little bit about, the planets that are going on, we could definitely touch at what you're supposed to be focusing on as well. So let's do that real quick here. So, you have the Sun, Mercury, Venus, and Saturn, all in Aquarius. And we do have Renee live on the chat too, and Renee will pull your chart in a minute here. Um, and those are thinking planets as well. Um, they are ruled by Saturn as well as Uranus. I don't really get the Saturn connection. I don't really feel like Saturn is related to Aquarius, but many astrologers do. So, on that note, I could see that it could be affecting you in similar ways that they're affecting James, in the sense that they're you're wanting to go into your head when you should be going into your body, if that makes any sense. So, like, things that are popping up. So, if we knew for sure um, your birth time, and if we stick close to the Cancer rising, which I really feel is you, it won't be too off. We would say that this retrograde is going on in your house of communication. So, for a little background, like, what have you noticed in your relationships lately, or in your communication lately? Have you been noticing repeat patterns of miscommunication? Have you been, like, what have you been noticing?
I wouldn't say repeat patterns of miscommunication. Like I know that there's going to be technical issues, and we've been having technical issues,
What about
but
cars, transportation? So the third house is all of those things: cars, computers, transportation, community, um commuting, local travel, technology.
well, technology for sure.
Yeah. Um, yeah. So it's the opportunity. So if it's an opportunity to just reevaluate and redo. But again, you have a lot of you have your moon and your Pluto in a feeling planet, a feeling sign. So your moon is in Scorpio and your Pluto is in Scorpio, and both of them are very expressive and very creative. And if you notice in your chart right here in the middle, that's your fifth house. That's your house of creativity. And what are you, Lark?
Aquarius.
No, you're an artist.
Oh. Yeah. That's my preferred profession,
You're
but
absolutely 100% an artist, and it has your Pluto and your moon there. That tells me if I was to rectify your chart, that your birth time is somewhere around 210 or 2 whatever we had before. Like to keep the moon and the Pluto in that fifth house um, would be the most accurate. And knowing your life and knowing that you have three very vibrant, creative children and your relationship with them. With all that Aquarius in your chart, Aquarian parents tend to be more like friends. But with that moon and Pluto, you tend to be much more transformative in their life. So, more than a friend would be. You're very intimate with your children in the sense that you bond really closely with them and care at the soul level of what goes on, and maybe even feel the need to guide them.
I
So
definitely
with
do that.
this with Pluto retrograde, um, it would be up there in your eighth house of transformation. So you're definitely reevaluating a lot of things in regards to, um, you know, your soul level transformation. Like you're looking at spirituality differently. You're transforming, even potentially even your sexuality. You could be revisiting what that energy looks like in your life. Pluto is going to be there for quite some time, at least another 10 to 15 years. So you could have a major transformation by the time it goes into your ninth house. You might be taking everything that transformed in you from that house into the ninth house and start teaching from that perspective, whatever that looks like. Absolutely. And then teaching, and maybe inadvertently teaching, maybe not necessarily seriously teaching, but teaching will definitely be in the picture.
No, it's been on the forefront the last, I would say, at least the last couple of days, but the last couple of weeks too. Just we've really
Well,
been talking about our
when
home
Pluto
studio.
goes there, though, it's going to touch on your Venus, which is your heart and your creativity and your money. And then it's going to touch on Jupiter, which is the planet of optimism and expansion, as well as teaching. So, and then Pluto is the transformative planet. So when it goes there, it will literally change lives. Whatever you do is literally there to transform either your philosophical or educational view in the world, and or others' views in the world of like higher knowledge, higher education, higher wisdom, higher religion or spirituality. Whatever that is will be super transformative. So for the next like 20 to 30 years, your life will be very vibrant and transformative for not only yourself, but for many other people.
It's awesome.
And you work with trees.
I do work with trees,
You work with trees.
lots of trees.
We have Renee on the line, so let's pull Renee's chart real quick here. Renee is a Libra, and if there's anybody else who happens to be listening in the live, I don't know if it's still picking up out there or not. Feel free to put your birthday, year, time, and location, as well as yeah, birthday, year, time, country, and location. And we'll pull your chart up and we'll see how Mercury is affecting you. So, Renee was born on March 19th, 1973. She's a little closer to my age. We are the elders of the podcast today. But she has her moon in Libra, her Pluto in Libra, and her Sun and Venus and Mercury in Pisces. And she kept correcting me that she's a Pisces. Yes, you are, but you carry so much intense Libra energy that whenever I think of you, I think Libra. And this is why your moon is conjunct. That means it's touching Pluto in the sign of Libra. The moon is your emotions, and Pluto is transformation. And those are two. This is a really intense combination, and it happens to be in your third house of communication, which is the way you speak to the world. You also have Uranus here, so it means like very innovative or sudden change or very rebellious, which you do have a rebellious side to you if you admit it or not. Um, but but when I meet people, I always, you guys all know me. I always pull your charts. I know everybody in my life's chart, and usually the part of their chart that I recognize the most that stands out is the character that you portray the most. And so, like with Lark, she is by far like a Scorpio moon, and Scorpios are very prominent in my life throughout my entire life. One of my closest friends, Lisa, is a double Scorpio. She's a Scorpio sun and a Scorpio moon, and I could see, and she's an artist just like you, Lark, and that is definitely a Scorpio moon through and through. And so when I think of her, I think Scorpio moon, and when I think of James Bush, I think of Cancer right away, and when I think of Renee, I think of Libra right away, and when I think of my daughter, she's an Aquarius, but her Pisces is her Venus is in Pisces, so her heart is in Pisces. So whenever I think of my child, I think of that compassionate, very spiritual, creative heart. Like those are the things that stand out in who I know them to be and feel them to be. And that's why I will call people the wrong sign when I talk to them because that's how I see them from my mind. Stop laughing at me, Renee. Um, so, on that note, Renee natally has Mercury retrograde. And so, a lot of times when you have a planet that goes retrograde and it's already retrograde in your chart, you have a little bit easier of a time dealing with things that arise because the feelings of the energies are really natural. She also has Pluto retrograde, and Pluto is currently retrograde. But what I'm going to do is, Renee, I'm going to put your chart out inside of today's astrological weather. So we're going to put you right in the middle. Here we go. And if you are watching this show and you are on your phone and you happen to log in through the Riverside app, you can make the screen bigger and it should be able to help you see a little bit better. Um, let's see here, Renee. So the Mercury retrograde right now is going through your second house of morals, values, and other people's money. So you and I have talked recently about some, financial situations that you're dealing with from the past. And Mercury retrograde right now is forcing you to revisit this. And also, Saturn in retrograde is going through your eighth house of other people's money. And this money that you're having to deal with is not money that was made by you, but it was other people's money, and you have to revisit. The universe is forcing you to revisit, and so that's what you're going through right now. So when we talk about Mercury, it's having you reflect on the way you communicate. And as you and I have both talked about this in the recent past, we talked about how you should address the other people in the situation in accordance to not creating any more karma. And so, you may feel that some things happened to you that were not fair, but your morals and values are being readdressed right now. And that's what's happening with Mercury retrograde. It's forcing you to make sure that you're working from the highest good of all and that they match your values. And with Saturn in the eighth house, it's not even going to be here much longer. It's having you deal with this and finally being done and over with. And Saturn is like the father of the zodiac. So he's like telling you, you better do it right this time or you're going to be in trouble. It's also the karmic planet. So you really need to take the time while Mercury is in retrograde this month in dealing with things from a place of, a place of you know you're the highest good of all, not a selfish place. And I'm not saying that you're selfish. I'm saying, sometimes when we feel a kind of way about things, we it's hard to see things from other people's perspective. And so in this particular case, you need to look at it from many different perspectives so that it works in the favor of everyone for the right reasons. um, now now, something to take into consideration is that Mercury is in Virgo, and you more than likely are overthinking a lot of this. And again, just like I was telling James earlier, and I'm not quite sure if you were listening, but the universe doesn't want you to think about it. The universe wants you to feel through it. So you really need to tune out of what you're thinking and tune into the way the situation is making you feel. Now, if you're triggered by other people's behavior, it's going to make you want to react a certain kind of way. That's where you add mindfulness, and that's where you start to recognize, why do I feel this way? And then you have to do your part on healing that. It's not anybody else's job to work through those emotions that are being triggered except for yourself. And that may entail creating boundaries, so that you don't have those triggers anymore. So you have a lot going on that you need to feel through, and less about what you need to think through. And also, Mercury is communication, and you need to like find a way in which to communicate from the heart and not from the mind or the mouth, on that note. um Nish, Nishata. Hi, Nishata. I hope I said your name
Okay.
correctly. If you want me to pull your chart and look at Mercury retrograde for you, if you could put your birthday, year, time, and location in, I could pull yours up as well. The same with anybody else who catches this live. If you go to the chat and put in your information, we can pull your chart as well. Um, Renee, did you have a takeaway from that you wanted to put in the chat that we could add to the conversation? We'll wait for that, and then while we're waiting for her and Nishata to enter her birth information, I'm gonna mute and get a drink of water so I don't cough. No, my water's not here. My water's not here. That's okay. So while we're waiting, she's still feeling good. Good for you, Renee. As long as you're feeling and reflecting, that's what you need to do. But you need to do the opposite of what you're known to do with all of this Libra on your chart, and that's the key word here is procrastination. You need to not procrastinate. It's something you really need to work on. And with Pluto in the planet of Libra, procrastination will be the death of you. So feel through it. Yeah, definitely. So I'll pull up my chart for the sake of conversation until we get some more information here. So I'm gonna put my chart inside of the cosmos right now. So for myself, Mercury retrograde in Virgo is in my 10th house of my public self, as well as my career. Venus is here as well. So putting my energy, like my love and my passion and my communication, which is literally what I'm doing right now. It's giving me the opportunity to to redo, re-express, re-communicate that which is passionate to me. And going live, we finally got it working. And so I'm hoping to do these sessions more often where people can come on and share their birth chart, and we could talk through some of these things, and not always retrograde, even though that is the theme today. Retrograde is just on everybody's mind because we're seeing it all across the media and trying to blame it. But what we really want to do is embrace that. We want to see how we could use it to our advantage instead of allow it to walk all over us. And for myself, it's just telling me to, really put my energy in a positive way, because again, it's in Virgo, out to the universe to accomplish my goals. And so let's see, where's Pluto? And Pluto is in my third house of communication, and it's touching my North Node, which is where my goal is currently being, put out to the universe, that I want to create communication through conversation, or create community through conversation. So in my Wisdom Beyond Time podcast coming out, it's looking at a lot of people across the world who have had unique experiences, and communicating with them in their own unique experiences of gaining wisdom. And then I have met a wonderful friend in Ireland, and a wonderful friend in Australia, and we're going to be coming together and having conversations beyond borders, where we look at their cultural beliefs and upbringing and society today, and having some deep conversations around that as well. So Pluto in my third house of community and conversation is, the epitome of that. So I see that Nishata gave me the birth information, so I'm going to go ahead and enter that real quick here. Um, while I am paused, did anybody have any retrograde questions, or anything to add, or keep the conversation flowing real quick?
Do the my question was, do the retrogrades actually amplify each other in any type of way? Do they compound?
Um, at times, if they're touching, they do. And when there's more of it, obviously there's a level of chaos, right?
Right.
But the amplifying planet of the zodiac would be Jupiter. So if Jupiter was in play, it would absolutely be amplified. Um, but for the most part, it could also be amplified based on what's in somebody else's chart. So if it's touching, something, or Jupiter, it would be amplifying, but not necessarily them standing alone would amplify each other, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Los Angeles. Sorry, my computer. California. All right. I'm going to save you to my database in case you ever want to get a one on one reading. If anybody does choose to have a one on one reading and they want to sit down, you could go to divine24.org and connect with me there. Nishata, I have here that you were born on October 7th, 1970 at 4:52 p.m. in Los Angeles, California. And looking at your chart, this retrograde is absolutely affecting you. You have Mars, you have Pluto, and the South Node all in Virgo. And then, Libra is your Mercury, your Uranus, and Sun. So all of those are planets that tend to get a little bit in their head. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the planets in the cosmos around your chart real quick here, so we can see how it's affecting you. Feel free to, Nishata, feel free to, at any point during the conversation, put information in the chat and how you're feeling about it, or just to keep the energy between yourself and I flowing while I'm giving you the reading so that I can go in the right directions for you. What I'm currently seeing is that the Mercury retrograde is in your sixth house of everyday life, your sixth house of daily life, your sixth house of your job, not your career, but the job that you do, as well as your health. It's also touching your south node. So the ways in which you've always done things, the Mercury retrograde is creating the opportunity for you to do things differently. So it wants you to look at how you communicate in your daily life. It wants you to look like how you organize in your daily life. Wants you to look at how you treat your health in your daily life, because in your daily life, your health is vital. With the Venus there, you might also be very concerned about or not concerned, but like take particular care about your health right now. Um, and so what I'm noticing here, by James, I think it means that you're leaving by saying awesomeness. Thank you for being here with us. So with Mercury retrograde for you right now, you're revisiting some things. Um, let's see here. Where's Mercury ruler in your chart? Your seventh house. It could also be, I'm not sure, what your career, your daily life looks like, but it could also be the way in which you communicate your daily life to your partnerships, because your seventh house is ruled by Virgo. So your partnerships are definitely something that you're reflecting upon right now and dealing with right now, and at the forefront right now. And so recognizing patterns is really important. But again, as I said earlier in the podcast, is that it's about the way you need to get out of your head and into your body. So looking at the way things are making you feel as opposed to the way you're thinking about things. So that here could entail you overthinking, the way things are being done and communicated, and more on when they happen a certain kind of way, the ways in which they're making you feel. Um, what do you think about that? Like, do you have anything particular going on right now? Let's see, the moon in Virgo is also in your seventh house, so relationships are definitely and health are definitely on the forefront. Um, that's kind of what I see going on for you right now. We are almost at the 1 hour mark, and as we start to wrap it up, I just want to make sure that if there's anybody else on the live that wants me to pull their chart, if you have any questions or if you want to know how the retrograde is affecting you, if you could just go to the chat and put in your birth information, I can quickly pull your chat. Like I said, we're at the 1 hour mark. I could stay on a little bit longer, but I want to be able to, get to everybody if that's what you want. Um, with Mercury retrograde, right now, it really is asking us to revisit and reevaluate the way we communicate. And it's in a conjunct to Venus today, and Venus is our heart and our passion. And so it's very possible that a relationship is coming back onto the forefront, and we're revisiting how we communicate with that person and doing it in a new, healthier way. Maybe it's allowing you the opportunity to communicate in a new, healthier way. And so anytime there's a retrograde planet, it gives it, you reevaluate, and gives you the opportunity to redo. So I see that there's only about 3 people left, and so it is at the 1 hour mark. So we are going to wrap it up. If anybody out there does choose to, want me to pull your chart for you and walk you through it and talk you through it, and even, give you insight into how to work through it, and do a little bit of your own research, please look me up at divine24.org. I also have a podcast. Our guest canceled for today. So I was able to do a live with you guys, and Mercury retrograde being at the forefront was the perfect opportunity to talk to you guys about what's going on right now. Um, so you could check out our podcast every week at evolve24.org. The podcast is called Deep Thynkers Society, and we usually delve deep into any topic that our guests come on with and really pull it apart. And more than likely, we'll go off topic. It's a lot of fun. And so, if you want to check out any of our previous podcasts, you can and give us some feedback. We are still working on some of the technical issues like sound. Hi Moon, I see that you just jumped in and we are kind of wrapping it up, but I will pull your chart real quick here. Let's see, I don't know if Moon is your actual name, but I'll pull it up as Moon. You stated that your birthday is February 8th, 1983. But you did not give me your birth time, and the birth time is really important. I'll put, and also the location. If you could give me the birth time and the birth location quickly, I could finish pulling you up. Otherwise, we could do it offline another time. Again, if you decide that you just want to, play around with astrology a little bit more, divine24.org. I also have a Facebook group. It's called Divine 24 as well. You can find when our next set of classes are coming up on there. I do teach astrology virtually and very easily. Hi, Nicole. So your time of birth was 7:52. Do you happen to know your location? City, state, country. 7 7:52 p.m. and it is Philadelphia. Phil, whoops. I can't see it very well from the way my computer is. I apologize. There we go. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I'm going to save you in my database. That way, if you reach out to me, we could do a more extensive reading. This will not be as detailed as I do in my readings, but we will get there. We have the opportunity to get there. Oh, come on. Get over here, please. Thank you. All right. So looking at your chart here, Nicole, let's see. You have your sun in Aquarius, your Venus, Mars in Pisces, Mercury is in Capricorn, Moon is in Capricorn, Neptune's okay. So you don't have any Virgo in your chart, but you do have your Virgo rising. So definitely being affected by this retrograde right now. So let me put the cosmos around your chart. Okay. So what I'm noticing here is very similar to what James was going through. And if you weren't here earlier, when James Bushy is a therapist, and he is also a very self-reflective individual. He had Mercury and Venus both in his 12th house of the subconscious as well. And so your moon is in Virgo, it's in your first house. So you're doing a lot of self reflecting right now. You're having the opportunity to really revisit the way in which certain subconscious patterns are being acted out in your life. And you too may catch yourself over feeling, overthinking when you should be out of your head and into your body. Let's see here. You have Pluto in the fifth house. So, very transformative time in the way that you do your self expression. Um, you're learning a lot right now. You could potentially be traveling as well, but you're definitely learning a lot about spirituality, higher education, and the way at which you look at the world from a bigger perspective. um, my advice to you is to really take the time to get out of your head and into your body and do as I stated earlier in the podcast, in the sense that, to be more mindful. And that doesn't, and I know it sounds contradictory to getting out of your head, but mindful is when you start catching patterns. So for people that are in their head, when you recognize that you're really in your head and things are being tossed and over, and then you switch it over to, well, how is this making me feel? And then you catch yourself thinking, well, it's making me annoyed or it's making me upset because I'm tired of overthinking. Then you need to realize, well, okay, you became mindful and you saw how that is making you feel. Now you're in your body. You saw how it made you feel. But what you want to feel is how the situation that you've been tossing and turning over in your head is making you feel. And that is the pathway to mindfulness, self reflection. And once you realize where it's making you feel in your body, then you can look at why does your body feel that way. And there's many different ways to look at this. It could be physical pain, and physical pain, anything that we feel in our body is a way to alert us, and it's communication. And what are we talking about today? We're talking about communication. So your body communicates to us. It's like the number one most clearest accurate form of communication it is, but we don't listen to it well enough. We just know that we feel crappy, or we just know that we have a headache, or we just know something of that nature. But what we really need to do is we really need to figure out where is that stemming from. So we really need to look at maybe a little deeper. If you, like I said, if you do want a reading, we could look a little deeper. But my goal for you would be to start journaling this month. The Mercury retrograde is this entire month. And journaling in the sense that when you catch yourself overthinking, where are you feeling what you're overthinking about in your body? And then also your dreams, what's going on in your dreams, so that you can metaphorically look at maybe what your body is also trying to tell you. So that's kind of where we are with that. Again, if anybody does want to, have a reading, they can go to divine24.org or join my Facebook group, which is also Divine24. And then definitely check out our podcast, evolve24.org. We post every Friday a new episode. This week we were going to have an author on, and she had to cancel at the last minute, so we decided to delve into Mercury retrograde instead. So it was so awesome to get intimate and personal with you all, and I look forward to doing this live again. So join the group so you know when we will go live. Have an awesome day, and remember, don't let this Mercury retrograde cause havoc. Instead, let's figure out where it is happening in your life so that we can look at how it's treating you. So I want you all to have an awesome evening, and please feel free to reach out. Thank you, Lark, for co-hosting with me today. Thank you, James, for co-hosting with me today. And thank you to Renee and Nicole, and Nishata for sharing your birth information with us as well to make this a lively event. You guys all have a great day.